Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing MadDogKillerSon in the 15-minute pool in ICC. That's a pretty aggressive name. Let's play c4. I'm not going to go into a Caro-Kann. Let's play just standard like knight f3, and after knight f6 we'll decide queen c2 or knight c3. I've also been known to play e3 in this position. I kind of like this queen c2 line, so let's go ahead and do that one again. Just become a fan of this variation. It's pretty easy to play, like you don't really have to know much. Circumvents a lot of theory. Just checking Mad Dog's stats. They've only played two 15-minute games. They won them both. They have a 5-minute rating of 24.42. That's a legit rating. It's a very strong rating. So I'll proceed with caution. They're playing g6, preparing to flank out of the bishop. So I kind of want to go bishop f4, and after bishop g7, then play e3. Usually you would play like g3, bishop g2 in these setups. But with g6, they're also maybe trying to go bishop f5. So I think I kind of want to play bishop f4 just so that if bishop f5, I have the c1 square to retreat to. Yeah, so let's play e3, kind of proceeding with the standard plan. Now, I can develop the knight through d2 if I want. I can put it on c3 as well, but developing it through d2 is typically the way to go. What would be the major argument for doing that versus knight c3 in this position? Well, it keeps the c-file a bit more open, so maybe at a strategic time I could take on d5, and then if they capture with their c-pawn, like invade down the file. That's probably the biggest reason. Yeah, I'm just going to play this move. Knight a6. So maybe probing knight b4. It might be worth it for me to play a3, just to dissuade any knight b4 business from happening. What if I just play bishop e2? Bishop e2, knight b4, queen b3. No harm, no foul. a5, I can play a3 and kick them away. Probably my bishop wants to go to e2 e2 anyways, as opposed to d3. No. It's a tough call. It's a relatively minor point too, but another move I've been thinking of here is c5, trying to initiate a queenside pawn storm. Might be a little bit early to commit to that plan though. That's my misgiving about that. Okay, let's just play bishop e2. I'm going to invite him to play knight b4 if he wants. I think it's kind of a bluff. I don't think he's going to play knight b4. If he does, I mean, that's fine. We'll just play queen b3 more than likely. If bishop f5, we'll also play queen b3 and attack the pawn on b7. So it remains to be seen how he intends to complete his development. He does play that. Okay, so queen b3 hits that pawn. Let's go ahead and play it. Sometimes with the bishop out on f4, it's a good idea to throw in h3, so that if knight h5, you can safely retreat the bishop to h2 without worrying about trading the dark square bishop for the knight. That's like a London system type idea. And here it makes sense as well, since the same sort of thing is going on as in the London system. Bishop on f4, knight on h5, that could potentially harass it. Okay, queen b6. Yeah, probably a good move. Now, if I play c5, and he takes on b3, I could take with my pawn. Then I would be double attacking a6. If knight b4, I could just castle. And I like the fact that my rook might come into a4. That could be helpful. I could also just castle right now and not play c5, but c5 would be like the principled thing to do. c5 queen takes. I wonder if there's an argument for knight takes even. Trying to enable knight a5. Nah, probably pawn takes is the way to go. Let's do that. I'll pre-move this capture as well. So if knight b4 castles knight d3, I would have to part with my bishop pair. However, I still like my pawn structure in that case. Yeah, now knight c2 is a big threat, so I have to do something about that. I could play rook a4 first, but somehow castling seems correct. Yeah, let's castle. And now I would anticipate knight d3, as I was saying. Which threatens my b2 pawn and the bishop. No, he plays b6 instead, undermining move. Okay. Not bad. Rook fc1 comes to mind. If rook fc1, b takes c5, rook takes c5. I'm attacking this pawn, but he has knight d7. I don't really want to capture on b6 because he takes back, and then my pawn structure is kind of shot on the queen side. Yeah, let's play rook fc1. Any issue with knight c2? No, I think we have decent play in the case that he goes knight c2. He could play bishop d3, hoping for bishop takes d3, knight takes d3, hitting c5, c1, and f4. But it's a little artificial, like bishop d3. I could play king f1 if necessary. Plays knight d7, yeah, so he's trying really to enforce this trade. Yep, also a good move. Because again, I don't want to take on b6. If I do that voluntarily, I feel like I lose the lion's share of my advantage. Actually, I'm probably just worse after that. I need to shake this knight from b4. If I play rook a4, though, they can take on c5, protecting the knight. If I take back with my pawn, they have bishop takes b2 as an in-between move, attacking the rook on c1, and c2 and b1, the squares I could go to attack the dark square bishop, are covered by his light square bishop. So maybe I have to go knight e5 here. It's a very weird-looking move, but it might be best. I'm just checking to see if that fails for any sort of tactical reason. It might. Knight e5, bishop takes e5. And then if bishop takes e5, he has b takes c5. Yeah, this knight d7 move might be giving him something. Yeah, so if what if I play bishop e5 first? Then he has f6 if he wants it. And if knight e5, as I said, bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, b takes c5. And my d4 pawn's overloaded, trying to defend both of these points. Maybe I have to play the capture on b6. As much as I hate to admit that might be forced. Take, rook a4. Can play c5. What about take, knight e5? Maybe okay. All right, I'm going to capture and then probably play knight e5. Because I don't see a lot of other good options, really. Need to shake this knight, but it's not possible in the current scenario. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Burning some time, too. Well, my whole operation with allowing the exchange on b3 might have been a little short-sighted. This guy's playing very quick, too. Seems confident. Yep, c5, advancing and defending this knight. Makes sense. Hmm. Difficult position. I can play g4, try to kick the bishop away. Bishop d3, bishop d1. So passive, though. Maybe rook a4 is the best shot right now. That also doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, though. I mean, rook a4 doesn't even threaten anything. Like, maybe it threatens rook a1 a bit, but... f4. All right, let's try f4. Then knight c2, though. I've weakened this pawn. f4, knight c2, trade rooks, and then g4, though. Kicks the bishop away. Okay, let's do it. Maybe you can play h5 to stop me from playing g4 in the future. But with 6:16 on our clock, we kind of have to go for it. He can trade and then play knight c2, but I have rook to a6, attacking the b6 pawn. So he can't just win e3 outright. Probably next move I'll be playing king f2 to defend the e3 pawn. So for the second game in a row, counting that Alekhine 101 game yesterday, I'll be defending significantly worse position. g5, really? Looks like kind of a deep move. So if I take, like, this pawn is weak. If I play g4, I guess he's coming in d3 more than likely. King f2, he'll trade, and he's got to pass d pawn. Okay, let's play g3. I don't know, though, because now if he takes, if I take with my g pawn, maybe the knight c2 operation would have been stronger. f6, so he's just continuing to undermine. All right, let's take. I think king f2 makes a lot of sense. I mean, e3 is a sensitive point that we need to reinforce. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, after rook e8 has been played, the knight c2 move is becoming more of a tangible threat. I can't play bishop f3 to counterattack d5 because there is knight d3. Bishop b5, maybe. Let's give that a shot. There he could take on a1, take on a1, take on e3, amazingly. King takes, knight c2 check, and he wins the rook in the corner, and I don't think his rook gets trapped. That's a threat right now. How do I deal with that, though? I mean, I could take on a8, but that gives up the a file. That's pretty bad. Maybe g4? g4, bishop d3, however. All right, I'm going to go for this move. Because I noticed in that line that...
Check.
Wow, knight d3 instantly. But I noticed in that line that I could play rook a8 at the right moment. Okay, so what is going on now? Is he trying to play d4 and get his rook into e2? Kind of looks like it. Just going to bring my rook over for defense. Pre-move this capture just in case. Okay, let's go h4. Putting a lot of pawns on dark squares, which means that the light squares are going to be weak, but I feel it's almost necessary. Let's play knight f3. Not sure where this knight is going, but I at least want to try to pressure this pawn. Maybe I should have taken first, but it's tough either way. He can bring his king up, yeah. I'm like strategically busted here. This is really, really bad. Almost nothing to do. Trade on a8, e4. Nah, he's just going to come into a2 with his rook eventually. Yeah, I'm almost in Zugzwang. I'm just going to do something just to try to like double up on the a file, but he'll play like rook a8 now. And then after a4, he'll go b5. I guess I could play after rook a8, rook a1, but it's not going to help. Yeah, now the c4 pawn's coming. This is an absolute disaster. I think this is almost resignable. My knight is like completely useless in this position. Let's just try to create a pass pawn. I think c4 is sufficient. Rook b8 is probably a good move as well. Yeah, this definitely started going downhill when I offered that queen trade. No doubt about it. If I play rook a1, he can play d4. And then if I take the pawn, rook e2 is coming. I'm just going to do something. a5. The rook is infiltrating. Let's get behind the pawn and hope. If rook b2, a6, rook takes check, let's say king g1. He can play bishop e4, a7, and then d4. That's winning. If I play king e1, he's going to play c3. I will be busted in that case. King e1, c3, knight f1, rook e2 check, king d1, c2 check. Yeah, that's losing. Okay, I'm just going to push this because there's literally nothing else to do. But I think he's calculated the win here. c3. Odd way to do it, but this probably also works. Like he's going to take with a pawn. And then if I queen, he queens with check. And it's mate. So yeah, I mean, c takes d2, there's really nothing to look at, because if rook d1, he has rook a2. And he stopped the a-pawn. He's just up a piece. And as I said, if c takes d2 and I queen, he queens and checkmates me. Even rook takes d2 might win. Nah, he takes that way. I guess I can try this move. It's not going to work, but I guess I'll try it at least. And rook b1 is an easy way to win this. Rook b1 check, and then queen. If rook a2, I can queen. Bishop b1. Yeah, very accurate move. Now I can't stop d1 queen. Okay, I'm going to resign. Yeah, strong game by black. I never really had a chance. Let's take a look at it. So I played this like anti-Slav line. A lot of Caro-Kann players play c6 on move 1 because it does allow a transposition of the Caro-Kann if you want it. So queen c2, g6. This is a move. I just played bishop f4. I'm a little ignorant of the theory in this line because I haven't been playing it very long, but I have seen some setups like this with bishop f4, e3, knight coming to d2. Maybe knight b2, bd2 like isn't necessary and or good here. Maybe just knight c3 and put the knight on the conventional square. Because I kind of made a vague remark about knight bd2, like maybe allowing d takes c5 with easier pressure down the c file. Like maybe I can infiltrate with the queen at a later date, but that's such a minor point that I might want the knight on c3 for simply the pressure on d5. Okay, so he plays knight a6. I went bishop e2. Bishop f5, I played queen b3, and now queen b6. Okay, so this is like kind of an important position, because with this move, yeah, you see the eval jump in black's favor. So maybe I should simply castle, or the computer wants me to even knight h4 going after the light square bishop, or take on d5. C takes d5. You could take conceivably with the pawn or the knight. Knight takes, bishop back to g3, queen takes b3, knight takes b3, knight a b4. Yeah, black has good play even in this case. He's solid in the center. The knight can try to jump into c2 or d3. So c5 I played, because this is a common idea, like trying to establish a pawn on c5 in hopes of defending it later with b4 and going b5. But it just so happens here that his knight is very hard to shake on b4. I probably should have seen this coming. c5 was an optimistic move, for sure. I castled. He played b6, undermining. Yeah, computer likes that move too. It's kind of going back and forth between bishop d3 and b6. I went rook fc1. This seems natural, but I have a feeling my advantage is going to be, or his advantage is going to be trending upwards after every move that is played. Knight d7. Yep, good move to pressure this pawn, because he wants to be able to take on c5 when I'm unable to capture with my rook. Because if he took on c5 right now, I could take with a rook, and then at least I have pressure against c6. Like, this is now a backward pawn. And I keep a pawn on d4, which could block his dark square bishop when it becomes open. So knight d7 is a good way to try to force me to release the tension between the two pawns. So I took on b6. I wanted to play knight e5, but I gave this line in my commentary: bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, b takes c5, and my d4 pawn is trying to defend both of those points. It's not going to work. I lose a pawn. So take on b6. He takes with the pawn. Knight e5. Yeah, I'm solidly worse here. I didn't see a good way to proceed. These positions are unpleasant in every aspect. Because black has a better pawn structure. He has better piece activity too, like especially the knight and this bishop. And I have no constructive plan, mainly because I have no pawn play. Like, my queenside structure is stymied, and I'm not going to be able to do anything in the center, like e4 is out of the question. So I have no pawn play. And if you have no pawn play in a plan, you better have active piece play to compensate, otherwise you're probably just strategically much worse. So this happens. Yeah, c5. I played f4. Then he played g5. I thought that was really weird. Wonder if the computer will like that move if I give it enough time to think here. It says knight a2 is a better move. I'm usually using Stockfish 2.3.1, which I think is just like the default Stockfish that Blitzen comes with. Still likes knight a2. g5. Maybe that move is designed to like give black the g6 square. And I was hesitant to take here because that would break up my chain. The computer thinks it's the best thing to do, though. And I kind of figured, like, my e5 pawn is a goner. I guess he could even play knight c6 and go take it if he wants at some point. So this f takes g5 did not appeal to me, but maybe I should have played it. Here, f6. Computer likes that. King f2. I was just trying to defend the e3 pawn. Yeah, and here he instantly played knight d3, like 2 seconds. Yeah. Well, one line I was calculating originally was rook takes a1, rook takes a1, and then rook takes e3, hoping for king takes e3, knight c2 check, winning the rook in the corner. Black will be up a solid pawn. But I have this intermezzo rook a8, so that's why I eventually went for this line with bishop b5.
Check.
But knight d3, and now his bishop is going to dominate my knight. There's not even a square on the board that I could like identify as an outpost for my knight. And moreover, it's like a hobbled horse. It's not going to be able to get anywhere either. I'm just stuck. And his light square bishop cuts off the play. I think this position is strategically losing for white. I'm actually kind of surprised it's only -1. It just looks a lot worse than that to me. Probably the longer we give it to think, the more it will increase. So rook a3 is the engine suggestion. I did not play that move. Couldn't he do the same thing, though, as in the game? Like take and then rook a8? Or take and then... Yeah, I guess, let's say rook a8. Rook c3. Bishop f5, b4. Yeah, my only chance is like to somehow break up this pawn formation. The b, c, and d pawns. If I can loosen his grip on those pawns, I might stand a chance of surviving, but it's a total uphill battle. So rook e1, played h6, just like kind of solidifying his center position, or his kingside position here. h4, he brings his king up. b4 the computer wants to play. So at least if take, I can try to maneuver my knight to this d4 square. It might give me some chances. But I played knight f3, just trying to do something. Knight back to d2. Plays king g6. Yeah. And it just feels like I'm slowly sliding into Zugzwang here. We trade the rooks. He plays b5, a4. Yeah, just lashing out. This might accelerate my defeat, but... I mean, if rook c1, he's pushing the c-pawn. Let's say take and b takes. It's going to be very similar to the game. I constantly have to watch the pawn coming forward. I have weaknesses on e3 and a3. He can go to either the b file or the a file with his rook, depending upon which one I commit to. And if this rook moves, then the c-pawn could run. Actually, I can't even get to the b file because rook b1 is covered by his bishop. So yeah, it's going to be losing no matter what now. I played a4. We traded. c4. Rook b8. Yeah, rook comes in. Yeah, now he finished me off efficiently. C takes d2, and if I queen, they get mated. So here, and then the accurate finishing move, bishop b1. Yeah, I mean, very strong game by black. He had a lot of engine matches. I mean, you guys know that on this channel, especially in these standard games, I've encountered a lot of players who have turned out to be cheating. Like, there's been many instances of this, and I've resisted like mentioning it up till this point. But I'll tell you why I'm suspicious. So let me go out here. What's this guy's name? MadDogKiller? Yeah. MadDogKillerSon. Okay, so So if we look at his ratings, I mean, his 5-minute rating like kind of matches the type of play, his strength that he just displayed in that game, because that was a very well played game. I mean, yeah, I had a passive position for most of it, but he didn't give me any chance. But look at that 3-minute rating, 1158. I mean, I know he's only played 24 games, but that's a terrible record and rating. And he played that entire game that we just played without even using half his time. So it's just very strange. I mean, he's won his other two 15-minute games. He's been on a roll in the 5-minute pool. He did lose a couple games. I don't know. I just like that 3-minute rating. Like, what's been going on in these games? Okay, he's playing completely nonsensically in 3-minute. There's not too many 3-minute games here, but it's just he's been getting destroyed in that category. It could be like an account sharing situation where like he's letting like his kid or like younger brother or something play in the 3-minute category, and this is a very strong player playing the other categories. But I mean, you're gonna draw attention to yourself if this is the sort of rating mismatches you have. And yeah, I mean, I was checking the engine matches. There were quite a few of them in that game. Not all the time. There might have been a couple differing places, but I just hate to like even address this suspicion, but it's like it's too obvious not even to bring up. Like you see a guy with that rating playing at this strength and beating me in this pool easily. I gotta mention it. So sorry to those that don't like me to do that, but it's just a reality of playing the pools. But the game was instructive nonetheless, and in retrospect, I would not have played c5. That was a big mistake. Oh, by the way, I was on the best list. I was number 1. Okay, I'm still number 1 even after that game. Really? I thought okay, I guess I didn't lose too many points because my opponent was provisional. Oh, I only lost 2 points out of that game. Nice. So yeah, I've been on the best list for 15-minute. Nice one. So, all right, hope you guys enjoyed this game. And yeah, please leave me any feedback in the comments. And I'll be back tomorrow with another standard game. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.